provided in the following manner. The meeting will be televised via Channel 18 and may be viewed via the Channel 18 website at streaming85.townofbarnstable.us/cablecast public site. Real-time access to this meeting is available utilizing the Zoom link or telephone number and meeting ID provided below. By utilizing the Zoom link or telephone number and meeting ID provided below. The link is townofbarnstable-us.zoom.us/J/87669299-318. The phone number to call in 888-475-4499. And the meeting ID 876-6929-9318. Applicants, the representatives, and individuals required or entitled to appear before the Planning Board Regulatory Agreement Subcommittee may appear remotely and may participate through the link or telephone number provided above. Documentary exhibits and/or visual presentations should be submitted in advance of the meeting so they may be displayed for remote public access viewing. And materials may be accessed by contacting Karen Herron at karen.herron@town.barnstable.ma.us or calling 508-862-4064. And at this time, I would like to introduce our subcommittee members. Steve.
Good evening, everyone. Steve Costello.
And Paula.
Paula Schnepp.
And Jen.
Jen Cullum.
And Hilda.
Hilda Hay, Barnstable Housing Committee.
And again, my name is Steve Robichaud. Notice of recording, this meeting is being recorded and broadcast on Channel 18 in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. And I will now inquire whether anyone else is taping this meeting, and if so, please make your presence known. Seeing none, we will continue to our item on the agenda this evening. And Steve, could you do me a favor and read this item?
Certainly. Regulatory agreement, Dockside Condominiums, Shoestring Properties LLC seeks to enter into a regulatory agreement with the town of Barnstable to construct 34 condominium units in 2 buildings with associated improvements at 110 School Street and 115 School Street, Hyannis. The applicant seeks waivers for dimensional bulk requirements, including building height and stories, setbacks and lot coverage standards, as well as waivers associated with density, parking design standards and dimensions, lighting and landscaping improvements. This is continued from October 3rd, 2022, October 13th, 2022, and October 18th, 2022.
Excellent. Thank you, Steve. And just a reminder, this is not a public hearing. It does not need to be voted to open and close. We will have the full planning board meeting later tonight, and we hope to hold public comment at that time. Just to recap the process to date, this application came before the full planning board. The planning board decided to refer it to a subcommittee made up of town council members, planning board members, and housing committee member. And we have had 3 meetings to date. The purpose of this meeting is a brief meeting to review our draft findings, which Jim has done a great job putting those together for us. And we've all had a chance to review them. Before we get going on that, I just wanted to see if the applicant had any comments before we dive into a review of the findings. Mr. Kenny.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee. For the record, Attorney John Kenny, representing Shoestring Properties LLC. No major comments. I did circulate very late, and Jim, I don't know if you got it, a revised redlined regulatory agreement, trying to incorporate most of the changes that we discussed at the last meeting, including 4 offsite housing rental units consisting of 1 3-bedroom unit and 3 2-bedroom units, which would give us a total of 9 bedrooms that was discussed. We added in that we would develop the intersection South Street and School Street in accordance with the markups to applicant's plan submitted by the Department of Public Works. And we added in some of the trigger points that the no building permit will issue unless and until the developer submits credible evidence to town council that has submitted a local initiative program application and the fees, if any, to the Department of Housing and Community Development. No certificate of occupancy shall be issued until the conditions of the agreement have been met. or until the developer, its successors or assigns have deposited with the department a satisfactory bond in the name of the town of Barnstable, or a certified check payable to the town in an agreed upon amount. And then that we also added into that upon the issuance of the certificate of occupancy, the developer, its successors and signs will hire at least one individual who will serve as a full-time on-site property manager. So most of those, I think, incorporate the comments that we received at the last meeting, and I'll let you go from there, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much.
Did everybody get that by any chance? Jim, did you get it?
No, I do see it in my inbox that came in about 45 minutes ago, so I wasn't able to distribute it to the subcommittee. We certainly can provide it to the planning board at a future meeting.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Kenny, and thank you for all your efforts on this. I am going to read the full findings. Jim, I believe by doing that, if and when a motion is made, we'll be able to reference what's been read on the record earlier in the meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Great. All right, so sit back and I'm going to go ahead and read through this. So again, this is a report of the Barnstable Planning Board Regulatory Agreement Subcommittee to the full Barnstable Planning Board on a proposed regulatory agreement with Shoestring Properties, LLC, RA 2022-002. Shoestring Properties, LLC has submitted an application to the Planning Board for a regulatory agreement pursuant to Chapter 168 of the Code of Town of Barnstable. The applicant proposes to construct 34 condominium units in 2 buildings with associated improvements at 110 School Street and 115 School Street, Hyannis. The redevelopment consists of 22 3-bedroom units and 12 2-bedroom units. A total of 70 parking spaces will be provided. Currently, 110 School Street is developed with a restaurant and 115 School Street is improved with a gravel parking lot. The Planning Board at the August 8th, 2022 meeting recommended a subcommittee be formed to review the proposed application in accordance with 168-5B of the Barnstable General Ordinance, negotiations of the elements of a regulatory agreement between authorized parties and a qualified applicant shall be led by the Planning Board or its designee and shall include representatives from other municipal boards, departments, and commissions where said joint participation will assist the negotiation process. In order to develop a more inclusive and holistic negotiation process, a subcommittee has been formed that consists of the 2 planning board members, 2 town council members, and 1 housing committee member. The intent of the subcommittee is to review the proposed regulatory agreement and associated documentation in detail and provide a recommendation back to the planning board. The regulatory agreement subcommittee held a duly posted notified public meeting on the proposal on October 3rd, 2022, which was continued to October 13th, 2022, and October 18th, 2022, and this evening, October 24th, 2022, where findings were determined. The following findings were determined by the Regulatory Agreement Subcommittee. Number 1, Regulatory Agreement 2022-002, Section 22 outlines public benefits proffered by the applicant. DPW has requested additional pedestrian improvements as outlined in the attached document entitled Exhibit A. The subcommittee finds that the proposed improvements by DPW are an improvement to the pedestrian environment along the project site and are a true public benefit. The subcommittee recommends full implementation of the improvements as detailed in Exhibit A. Finding number 2, the proposed plans for regulatory agreement 2022-002 originally indicated a proposed maximum building height of 72 plus or minus feet. Understanding that the proposal has undergone formal review by the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission on February 16, 2022, and received a certificate of appropriateness for the proposed building, the subcommittee determined that the building height proposed was taller than most others in the neighborhood and requested that the applicant review ways in which the overall height may be lower. The applicant has submitted revised renderings with the overall height and overall lower maximum building height of 65 plus or minus feet. The subcommittee finds this revised rendering. So the subcommittee finds that the revised renderings retain the detail and character of the original proposal while reducing the impact on the neighborhood. The subcommittee finds the revised renderings favorable. Finding number 3, the subcommittee finds that the landscaping along the South Street frontage on the proposed plans for regulatory agreement 2022-002 is not sufficient. The subcommittee recommends enhanced, more robust landscaping at this location. Finding number 4, regulatory agreement 2022-002, section 21 states the developer will provide 3 off-site housing rental units at 65% medium income qualification, which will be restricted in perpetuity. The subcommittee understands that a payment in lieu of providing affordable on-site units is a mechanism many communities use to produce affordable housing. The subcommittee recognizes the request for a waiver to allow for off-site rental units to meet Chapter 9, Article 1 of the General Ordinance, inclusionary affordable housing. The subcommittee finds that while 3 inclusionary affordable units meet the formulaic requirement, there is no description as to the kind and quality of the off-site rental units. The subcommittee recommends that prior to any recommendation by the planning board, the applicant shall provide full detailed plans and specifications, including but not limited to square footage, room dimensions, on-site amenities for the proposed affordable units. In addition, given the likely discrepancy between the luxury waterfront condominiums proposed on-site and the potential rental units provided, the subcommittee recommends a greater number of inclusionary units than the minimum provided. The subcommittee recommends a mix of unit types with a minimum of 9 bedrooms in total provided, with a total off-site affordable unit count of no less than 5 units. The inclusionary housing unit plans should be included as Exhibit B of Regulatory Agreement 2022-002. In addition, the subcommittee recommends that all LIP-LAU applications for the inclusionary housing units required for this site shall be submitted to the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development prior to the first building permit being issued for dockside condominiums. The application shall be concurrently provided to the Barnstable Planning and Development Office for review and compliance with this regulatory agreement, as well as all lotteries and marketing for each inclusionary housing unit shall be completed prior to the first occupancy permit being issued for dockside condominiums. Finding number 5, Regulatory Agreement 2022-002, Section 25 describes the requested use of the School Street right-of-way for parking purposes. The subcommittee finds that if parking access is granted, the regulatory agreement shall stipulate that the dockside condominiums shall professionally manage and maintain accessibility on School Street between South Street and the harbor to ensure that site-related vehicles do not impede access, and that accessibility for emergency services is available at all times and no unauthorized parking occur in these spaces. Finding number 6, the subcommittee finds that the dockside condominium is not an appropriate location for short-term rentals. The subcommittee recommends an added stipulation that the homeowners association governing documents shall include a provision that this site shall allow only 1 rental per unit per calendar year for no less than 30 days. The homeowners association governing documents shall be submitted to the Barnstable Town Attorney for review and compliance with this regulatory agreement. Finding number 7, the subcommittee finds that with these changes, Section B2, Regulatory Agreement 2022-002, shall be updated to reflect new plans and documents. And finding number 8, the subcommittee finds that with these changes, Section 23 of the regulatory agreement shall be updated to reflect new waiver specifications. At the conclusion of our final meeting, the regulatory agreement subcommittee will take a vote and decide if we want to move these findings forward. So at this time, I'd like to go across the board, the committee, and see if we have any comments on this. Jim, before I do, is there anything you missed or I missed, or you feel should be added before we go to board comment?
No, sir. I think you read it accurately and depicts what at least my notes, but certainly interested in what the committee has to say.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Steve, start with you. I know we've had some time, obviously, at our last meeting to review this, and now we have this kind of final document. Thoughts on what's been read, and if you recommend any last-minute changes?
I think overall it definitely reflects kind of where we ended up. I probably think that in its current state, I'm fine with moving it back to the planning board so we can, again, open the public hearing. And I do know there were public comments in the form of letters submitted to the subcommittee, and I believe those are now part of the record. Comments around, allowing public comment during the subcommittee. I just really want to be clear that the formation of the subcommittee is in essence adding another layer of kind of oversight. We are not in any way limiting public comment. In fact, I think we're allowing for a more complete and thorough, transparent view of the process with the inclusion or the kind of the start of having the kind of the subcommittee process be put in place. So in terms of that, I don't feel like we've not, provided the public an opportunity to see what's going on. They clearly can see sort of the developments and where the conversation has led up till this point. And with that being said, the planning board is going to continue its public hearing immediately after this meeting, as will ultimately the town council should it reach that point. The only thing I will say is I did do a drive down the high school road there just to get a feel for the pathway. And I think I'm going to reserve sort of some comments. I think it's probably more appropriate at the planning board at this time, just in terms of kind of the turnaround issue. I do have a little bit of a problem with kind of how that may need to be modified, but I don't think at this point it's to a point that it would require kind of reworking the wheel, if you will, based on where we are at this present moment.
Sounds great, Steve. Thank you. And well stated, there definitely will be plenty, ample opportunity for public comment. The public hearing is, of course, still open at full planning board. We'll hopefully get some public comment later this evening. Paula, thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
I echo most of Steve's comments. I think that what we have created here as a subcommittee report is, I believe, a good first pass at getting a combined planning board, housing committee, and town council perspective, so that as it moves through the process, there aren't as many possible surprises along the way. And it has given the public an opportunity to at least watch our proceedings. I understand there must be some frustration at being able to comment, but we really know that there are two or maybe several opportunities going forward to for the public to weigh in. And I hope that they do, because there's 5 people and we have our own opinions on what's going on, but we have many citizens and interested parties in our town that might have other perspectives. And I think those are always welcome, not only for the design, landscaping, traffic, and the affordable housing. So I think what has been presented tonight, I can support, and I look forward to seeing how it moves through the process after this.
Great, well said. Thank you very much, Paula. And Jen.
Yes, I wondered if either Jim or Elizabeth Jenkins could speak to the timing of the permitting for those affordable units. I spoke at a turn last time, not understanding how the process normally works. And I just want to make sure that we're on record for correcting that, because I don't want to misinform or work on uninformed opinions. So I know Elizabeth sent me an email explaining it earlier. Maybe Jim, you could speak to it, or Elizabeth, if she's here, right? Yeah. I just want to have it on the record that I learned something.
Not a problem at all. So absolutely. So in speaking with, yes, Ms. Jenkins, her and I talked, and what is reflected in the recommendations reflects a similar process in which we do for really all of our LIP applications, in which it is filed prior to building permit, really to get the ball moving. And then this reflects a letter stating that the lottery would be completed by first occupancy. So really those 2 tiers mirror much of what we always have historically done, at least. And that was through additional conversations. That's why the recommendations reflect that. So it mirrors what what we historically have done, at least, Ms. Collin.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I didn't realize that that was the normal protocol. I thought it was something that we were doing to be extra cautious. And as long as all people are treated the same, I'm good with it. I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you. Other than that, I think I agree with Paula that, I hope for lively public comment when this comes to the council and when it's before the planning board. I do have some concerns with what remains, but I think we've sharpened the pencil a lot here and made it a much more palatable project on behalf of the town than it was when it got to us. And I appreciate the concessions and the changes that the applicant has made. So yeah, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Jen, and thank you for asking for that clarification. I know I was a bit confused myself. I found that that information valuable. Hilda, your comments on the findings and summary here?
No, Jim, I am comfortable with what we have planned and what is on paper here in front of us. Happy that we could move the numbers up with the amount of affordable housing. And, we'll keep working on this and we'll welcome the public's comments. And hopefully the final word will be good for our community as a whole and good for Short String also. And that we'll all benefit from all this improvement with housing. Thank you.
Well said, Hilda. Thank you very much for that. And at this time, I'd look for a motion to send these findings to planning board.
I motion to move these to the planning board.
Second.
Excellent. Thank you. And all those in favor? Steve?
Aye.
Paula?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Excellent. Thank you. Paula?
I just wanted to request if there has been correspondence received from the public regarding our meetings or this particular project, if they could make sure they're forwarded to all members of the planning subcommittee.
Great.
Thank you.
Jim can make that happen. Jim and Karen. Jen, yes.
Yes, and if I could ask for a copy of Attorney Kenny's changes, that would be great too.
Great. Yeah, I'm
I
sure
know
that'll
it came
be
in late.
helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Kenny.
that may undergo further revisions, Jen. I'm happy to send it to you, but based upon what we're hearing tonight and after tonight's meeting with the planning board, there'll probably be some further revisions. I'll send you a completely redlined one. I'll send it to all committee members when we're ready to send it out. Happy to send it now. I've already sent it to Jim. He can distribute it, but it might be less confusing if we just wait till we have further comments tonight.
Thank you.
Makes sense. Great. No, thank you for that. And while we're all together, we've got 3 draft minutes for approval. And these were included in the agenda that was sent out last week. So I know we've all had a chance to review them. And Jim, do you want an individual motion on each one, or would one motion on all 3 suffice?
I'm sorry to be that guy, but if we could do a separate motion for each one of them.
We want to do it right. No problem.
Say
Just
that.
wanted to clarify. All right. Oh, thank you, Karen. Karen seconds that. All right. So looking at the October 3rd, 2022 draft minutes, could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Jen, a second. And a second from Steve. Thank you, Steve. All those in favor? Steve?
Aye.
Paula?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. And if we could, a motion on the October 13th, 2022 draft minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Steve. And a second.
I'll
Second.
second.
I'll give it to Jen. Thank you, Jen. And all those in favor, Steve?
Aye.
Paula?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. And a motion to approve the October 18th, 2022 draft minutes.
I motion to move the minutes.
Thank you, Hilda. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Paula. All those in favor? Steve?
Aye.
Paula?
Aye.
Jen?
Aye.
Hilda?
Aye.
And myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Excellent. Thank you. And just before we adjourn, I just wanted to thank our 5 committee members, Paula, Jen, Hilda, Steve. Wanted to thank Jim for all the work on this, Kate and Elizabeth, of course, as well, and Karen, and Mr. Bornstein and Mr. Kenny. Just appreciate the spirit of negotiation, and hopefully we can continue the conversation. So thank you all. And does anybody else have any final comments before we look for a motion to adjourn? Okay, I seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Paula.
second.
And a second. Is that Hilda?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And all those in favor, Steve,
Aye.
Paula,
Aye.
Jen,
Aye.
and myself, Steve, and Hilda,
Aye.
and myself, Steve Robichaud, votes aye. Meeting is adjourned.